Welcome to Nebraska Preps Postgame with Damon Benning and Jacob Padilla.
Another good week. We don't hang out enough. I know you guys are probably thinking like, man, what would DB and Jacob have in common where they would go like grab lunch or something? But you'd be surprised. We talk a lot.
Well,
I like this guy.
Yeah, we were supposed to start recording about 20 minutes ago, but
I know, and life got in the way where we were talking. But shoot, man, so we brought you up again on the show. I just want to say, if you haven't read the piece, and you got a ton of good ones, and I know this is going way back, but your deal on Bryce and how and when he gets buckets, especially now as I put it together with Casey coming back, and I think Nebraska's going to bag the scholarship, and I think I know what their roster is. That piece is unbelievable.
Got one on Josiah Alec coming up this weekend.
So I like him. So what do I do with Alec coming off the injury?
I think that's like
God, why am I not surprised you have another piece coming out?
Well, he's the last one that I've gotten. Like, these things are pretty take up a lot of time because I'm watching basically every clip of their last season that they've got on Synergy for the most part.
God bless Synergy.
Yeah, exactly. It's made things a lot easier for me. Allowed me to be a lot more informed. But yeah, hopefully I think that'll go a long way. I know that Josiah even mentioned like getting the shot right with Fred Hoiberg. That's something that Hoiberg is always confident in his ability to coach up shooting and help guys improve. And Josiah is a guy that shot 36% at UMKC, and the shot just completely abandoned him last year. And I think part of that might have been not feeling totally healthy. He said he had the surgery. Now he's hoping to have two good ankles and have that full explosiveness back from when he was 100% healthy. So he's just a guy that's going to fill in a lot of gaps for them. He's not great at any one thing, but he can help you in a lot of different ways. And again, the defensively guard a lot of different guys, rebounds, can find his buckets within the flow of the offense, set screens and all that type of stuff. So.
I know you don't like to make lofty predictions, and we're not really going out on a limb. But is it safe if I said, hey, JP, we turn the cameras off and we're talking about all the other things that we talk about off pod. And I said, you know what? I actually like both rosters, Nebraska and Creighton, more than I did a year ago. Fair or foul?
I think so. So we'll have to see kind of how those guys like fill.
That doesn't count.
Yeah.
We're just going on the roster.
Yeah, no, the way it fits together, I think, both rosters actually, I think they fit together a little bit better.
I'm with you.
We'll have to see the top end talent, like how does fit versus talent, how those kind of balance each other out. See, like, is anybody on this Nebraska team going to be as good as Derek Walker was last year?
But I didn't know going in that Walker was going to be available or when he was going to be available early.
Yeah.
And I also thought Griesel was going to score it a little more than he did.
And
so
I think part of that goes back to the fit and the spacing. And this Nebraska team should have better spacing than it did last year with Bryce Williams' ability to shoot, Casey coming back.
Ulis is kind of savvy, more of a traditional point.
Yeah. And you got a stretch five and Mass. You can step out and knock down shots. Yeah. That'll change things a little bit. So
Bryce is a bucket getter.
Yeah. So you
get a healthy Jawan Gary. And the thing that I like about Creighton is, not that this is college sports hour, but listen, you got to take the good with the bad, right? It's the summer and we're just starting high school, so give us a little leeway here.
Got a lot of stuff we'll get to eventually.
Just like I like Ashworth and Trey and Bryce probably better, and I like Nembhard, right? Yeah. But I think when you talk about cohesiveness and fit, I like it better. Plus, I get Kalk a year removed from understanding the difference between, do we have to play drop coverage? I know we can switch 1 through 4. How do I fit in? Like, they could be offensively.
Yeah.
Goodness.
Again, like I'm so excited about Trey coming back because I wanted to see what this will look like when you've got Trey, Baylor, and Ashworth all together, all guys that are elite off-ball shooters that can also make for each other. Mm-hmm. So you got 3 guys that are going to be setting each other up, taking turns, handling the ball and initiating offense while the other guys are spacing the floor. And you get more floor spacing at the 4 spot. potentially with Isaac Trout and Mason Miller stepping in as
and you got Jason Green
in the mix
who
as
they
well.
really like.
Can kind of give you that defensive versatility there as a different look at that spot. Maybe replace some of what you lost with Kluma and with his length and versatility defensively. So like I think they'll fit together better, and the 3-point shooting will be more reliable. So I think this team has a higher ceiling. We'll see.
Lot less dribbling.
Yes.
It seems like as I look at the roster.
I think so. You got a chance to move the ball a little bit better. You'll miss Nemhard's like rim pressure and pace,
Right.
but as much pressure as he put on the rim, he wasn't a great finisher. They don't really like Baylor's the best finisher on their roster, like perimeter finisher outside of Kalkbrenner right now. Like last year, he was the only one that's actually good at it of those 4 starters. So we'll see if he can. See if Alexander can improve in that area and kind of be that guy, because Ashworth is more of a pull-up guy than a downhill guy. So that's kind of the one question mark, like the weakness in offense. Can somebody go get to the rim, get fouled, get you a bucket that way when the shots aren't falling? But I think the shots are going to be falling a lot more often than they were last year.
I'm in complete agreement. And remember what Coach Mack is like when he actually gets a stretchy stretch 4. His offenses usually are way good because I think that's how he prefers to play.
Yeah, so a lot of fun, excited. Good couple of days for the local teams in terms of draft decisions. I think both teams will have a chance to have take another step forward this year.
Yeah, I'm pretty excited. So that's your quick rundown of NEB college and preps post game. It's what you get when you get a couple of sports junkies. It's all good. But hey, man, you spent a lot of time at NBDA. One of the things, and you were camping this morning. Was that yesterday? It was this morning.
Yeah, that's where I came
this
from.
Morning. That's why we're starting a little bit late today. And I was asking you off pod, hey, Romello Lloyd Jr. and what are we doing and kind of where are we at? And I just like picking your brain because you understand being in neutral but giving good data. So the perfect guy to be at NBDA as you're watching developmental stuff because you saw some guys a year ago at this deal who turned out to be pretty good contributors over time.
Yeah, so it is a fun event seeing all these freshmen and incoming freshmen, so 8th and 9th graders for this calendar year. Get a chance to play together, compete. Lot of schools, a lot of small schools combining. You got like some of the central Nebraska area teams. Elkhorn had all 3 Elkhorn schools, north, south, and high combined. They had 4 kids apiece on their team. So it's kind of interesting to see these teams come together and how it all plays out. One thing, like you can really tell going into this thing, like which kids played varsity ball this last year, whether it's the bigger schools or it's the small schools. You can see like those kids just kind of stand out the way they play. That have played in this tournament before as 8th graders, guys coming back for their second year in the tournament. Those guys stand out as well. So it's fun kind of seeing that how this tournament all plays out. And this year the definite champ was Lincoln North Star's top team. Went 7-0, won the championship over Millard South, who went 5-2 with their 2 losses coming to that same Lincoln North Star team. And that North Star team, 6 out of the 10 were incoming freshmen. So that is a class for North Star that you're going to be hearing a lot of.
But we've talked about it, right? People like the class that are coming in at North Star.
Yep. Jordan Castor, Jayshawn Uffua.
Castor's a name that, for those of you, if you're paying attention, this guy about 3 weeks ago, and even as recent as last week, said, that's a name to pay attention to.
Well, he put 20 on my team. I mean, we won by 20, but he was tough.
I get it.
So, and Castor was really good in the championship game. North Star won that by 9 or 11, I think it was. And Castor had 18, 7-10 shooting. He was getting in some really crafty finishes and getting to his pull-up and knocking it down. Hit all his free throws. Just any time that North South tried to make a run to get back into it, it seemed like Castor was the guy making a play. And Uffua, he was really good throughout the tournament as well. Scored 13, in the championship game. But
Sneaky good length.
Yeah, long, active, athletic, into the rim. Will pull up and shoot.
See, I love the fact you're watching young guys because people think I'm weird, but I see them all the time, right? And a lot of times I don't have anybody to talk to about it with, right? Because people wait.
And now that I cycle back that I'm coaching 15s, I mean,
you're back in the game.
Yeah, 4 of my players were in the tournament, played with their teams, all made the gold bracket. North South, Kobe Myers plays for me. They're runner up there. Kobe had 17 in the championship game. Jet Tamala, who subbed for me one weekend.
Yeah.
He was kind of running the point for them at 15, 7 boards, 3 assists, 3 blocks.
Now everybody's thinking Tamala basketball. What about Tamala football? Yeah, well, football's coming.
Speaking of football, he had Marion Jackson playing with them too. AJ there. He
good athlete. I like the fact he's staying fit. He has a kind of a different body type. I like the fact he's getting good game in.
And he helped them. Like there are a couple plays where Tamala, the quick inbound, the chuck down a press.
They're used to it.
Taking the deep shot,
and Jackson can go get
it. He had a heck of a play at the end. There was like 2 seconds left. North Star made a free throw. Tamala took it out, chucked it deep over the top. Myers caught it, catch, and won at the buzzer to make it a 9-point game at halftime. Like that was a huge play and it's a heck of a pass.
Yeah.
And Will Schaefer for North Star as well at 12 points, is efficient. Hit a couple of threes, a couple of pull-ups. So he started for them as a freshman. He's coming back for them as a 26 kid playing in this. So those were kind of the 2 best teams there outside of Myers. Isaac Jensen, he kind of stood out as well for Millard South. He's a guy that played a little bit of varsity for them this last year. 6'6", he's another football player, kind of football first, but he can hoop a little bit. And I know he's coming off an injury. He wasn't 100%. They're kind of limited his minutes. Mm-hmm. But he had some stretches where he changed games and looked as good as anybody out there. So Millard South, they made a really nice run there. So those are the two kind of top teams. But a lot of good players there between the 2026 and 2027 classes. Some of the other standouts, Nate Kelly for Scottsbluff, who plays for me as well. But again, another guy you can tell played varsity as a freshman. He played in this tournament a year ago. Just the many different ways that he can impact a game and control the flow, getting at the rim, knocking down shots. He set up a lot of teammates, even if they didn't always make the shot. So he was really good. Corian Gallatin playing for Fremont.
He's going to be interesting, right? Lost a little help with Cassio Jensen going over to back to Bellevue West, but I mean,
and he's not playing this spring. He's working on trying to build up his body and get stronger, get a little bit more, and get a little bouncier. Talked to his dad, said he hasn't played organized competitive since the end of the season, so a little out of basketball shape. So, and you can see that the first game, he hit 7 threes in their first game, and they beat a solid Lincoln.
Highly skilled player.
Went 5 of 7 in the second half. While I was there counting, I know the parents said he hit 2 more in the first half. I didn't see it, but he hit 7 threes. That's pretty darn good on good efficiency.
Look
there.
Look at you trusting the parents.
If they had told me he did 4 or 5 of them,
you'd be
2 I think is a reasonable number. Scored 8 points or whatever in the first half, but so he was really good in that game. Chris Gardner Jr. For Norris, just playing Millard South and Norris, who had a bunch of guys that played varsity playing this tournament a year ago. I thought they'd be one of the favorites. They faced Millard South in the first round of the gold bracket. Mm-hmm. So it was a heck of a matchup that early in the tournament. But Millard South pulled it out. But I think, man, Garner felt like he must have had 10 offensive rebounds in that game. He was just all over the place. Rebounded and had some tough finishes.
How do you gauge? It's not lax. I don't want to say lax because it is development. But the coaching prowess versus what you're seeing when you want to watch if kids can receive instruction and versus, hey, what's your feel? Kind of what are you doing without me really getting into you in, let's say, May basketball?
Yeah, it's interesting because, the coaching there, it's different from team to team in this. Sometimes you've got adults that have been around, you've got parents, you've got whoever. Sometimes you've got alum coming back that are college-age kids. guys that just got done playing high school and now you're coaching freshmen. So it's interesting kind of seeing the different, like there's some that are more engaged than others. They're on the sideline. But this really is, I mean, largely about, hey, you got to go out and figure it out with the way the format works for this term. If you don't know, the first half, you've got
even play.
Yeah, you got first quarter 8 minutes, second quarter 8 minutes. You got different groups that play for, so depending on how many you have, you got the same 5 that plays the entire first quarter, different 5 plays the entire second quarter, and then the second half, coaches can play lineups however they want. So it gives everybody a chance to play, and then the second half you can go for the win and really play your best guys. So it's a fun tournament. Millard North is another team that they played North Star in the first round of the gold bracket. Again, two teams that could have made deep runs that ran into each other early. Major Monster and Sen Piatkowski guys are going to play
good
varsity ball for them next year. But guy that really stood out to me was Trevor Bailey, a guard for them. Really athletic, was a menace on defense, hit some tough shots as well. There's a play where they had a chance to kind of seal the game. He got fouled, went to the line, missed the front end, and then put up pressure and stole the ball back and took it in for a layup. So made up for his mistake there immediately. Kind of next play mentality, went and got the ball back and covered for it. So that really impressed me. So that's a name. I think he'll play JV for them this year, but he's a guy down the line that I think will be able to play for them. Nike Orgabold was really good for that Elkhorn area team. He was shooting the ball really well. He had some tough threes in addition to getting to the rim and finishing, which is his strength. Jackson Cruz, he had 20 in the second half.
One of the familiar faces in a new place coming up this
northeast
year.
To southwest there. Finished with 26 in one of the games, had 20 in the second half. And the Sanders twins, Makai, who's playing for me, and Uzziah, just menaces defensively, picking pockets, up in their press and forcing turnovers. Southwest is a good team. They've got some young guys coming up too. And then Tristan Haas from Seward is a guy that played for them as a freshman off the bench, provides some scoring. He had a really good game against Fremont, had 20 plus in that game. Really aggressive offensively, scores inside and can knock down jumpers. So those were just some of the kind of 2026 names that stood out. This few 2027s I already mentioned, Castor and Uffo and Fowler for Lincoln North Star. Evan Greenfield for Norris is a guy that will play early for them.
Tell you what, so their 8th grade team at Norris was really good. And they came to Omaha a ton of times. I watched them play. I've got a good buddy that, well, I won't say what he does, but he's got a job over at the state school, and he's been telling me, hey, this, the community's growing, and it started with Sty and those guys and Hickman, and so I kind of been paying attention. Norris had a really good 8th grade team that is getting ready to hit the high school stage. They're not done yet.
Yeah. He's really good feel. Now he's relative of Tom Kropp, apparently. So some good bloodlines there.
Oh yeah. You can see the lineage on the sidelines or in the stands when they're watching.
Yep. And then Ethan Robinson from Lincoln Southwest is another 2027 that stood out. So a lot of good teams. Scott Papio made the semis combination. I think they had 3 Papillion the Vista players, and the rest were Scott. DeMarcus McCarty played varsity for Papio as a freshman. Cedric Williams I was impressed with. He had some tough shots, really aggressive scoring guard.
I think he's competitive too.
So I was impressed. I'm guessing that's Chase Williams' brother. Kind of plays a lot like his brother, who had a really good senior year for them. Scott kids, they had some size. Luke Lenz, George Zeeble, both really big physical kids that rebounded well. Lincoln East made the quarterfinals. Reed Voog and Nolan O'Neill both played as 8th graders last year. Voog hit a bunch of threes, and what O'Neill does as well. But Kyle Campbell, familiar name there, playing as a 2027
the Campbell lineage.
Knocking down some tough jumpers off the catch, off the dribble there.
I think his parents dictate that he be competitive. He's a competitive son of a gun.
And then Suji is another 8th grader playing for them that was an impressive athlete. Northeast Nebraska had a good team, a bunch of different schools combined. Gage Hedstrom from O'Neill St. Mary's was one of the leading scorers as
Familiar
among the freshman
name?
class. Yeah, younger brother of Aiden out there. Corbin Warner from Elkhorn Valley, I believe. Jace Jurgensen from Wayne, both kind of stood out to me as well. Syracuse area, they had some Syracuse, Johnson County Central there, West Swanson, JCC, Will Jansen, Syracuse kind of stood out to me, Max Party. So Wahoo made was runner-up last year. They went out in the first round this year, ran into a good team. Cody Hesser, Keegan Brigham are both guys that suited varsity for Wahoo as freshmen. So those are a few of the others that kind of stood out to me as well. So fun tournament. Really enjoy watching this every year and got to see a lot of good players.
Do you feel like you have a good handle on what is portable from the youngsters to older? Because that's really the key. Like that's where the magic happens.
And that's kind of, like I said, where you can see the difference between the guys that have played varsity versus haven't. Just the comfort with physicality, the really dictating style, the kind of pace of play, and getting to your spots, and like that, like because from a physical standpoint, to be able to play varsity level, even JV, like as opposed to playing freshman, reserve, or whatever, huge leap the higher you go. So like that's the stuff that you got to be ready for. You got to be in the right spots defensively to be able to play early as an underclassman at a varsity level, especially at the bigger schools and the really talented programs.
Yeah. Let's move to Anaheim.
Yeah, the Compton Magic Memorial Day Tournament.
Very interesting.
So kind of a weird deal. I didn't totally understand, but they were like various different.
2-1.
Yeah.
So you had the Compton. It was all the Compton Magic Memorial. But it was a 2-1, so they played
like
one tournament Friday, Saturday, then played another one Sunday, Monday.
So it was like Battle Cup, the first one, Battle Zone, the second one, or something like that.
Hey, that's pretty good, man. You've been doing your homework.
I got to follow.
You Berean?
Got to credit Mike Sauter, just following off his tweets.
Don't do what that guy does. So one time he and I were going back and forth, and he asked me the score, because he was on the wrong side getting footage.
Couldn't see.
And I could see the score. And he's like, I don't know, like, don't ask me. And I said, so it's such and such and such and such. I said, are you on the wrong side or what? And he's like, yeah, I am. But interesting tournament. I didn't love the levels of competition. But, Compton Magic, who the 17U team beat, were without two of their thoroughbreds. Yeah. They were at the Olympic trials. Yeah. So they were at Team USA camp. So you know that's a really, really good Compton Magic team. But I felt like, they gave their one loss was a giveaway. They were up 15 at one point. That's definitely what I would call a bad loss for the 17s.
So they went 5-1. They went 3-0 in the Battle Cup one, beat shorthanded Compton Magic in the final.
Kind of pillar to post. They led that one from the jump.
Yeah, and C.J. Mitchell, Jane Jackson seemed like consistently. Neil Monster hit some threes in those 3 games in terms of scoring-wise. Those guys kind of popped up. And then, like you said, the second one, they won their first 2 games, and then in the semifinal, chance to go to the final, they were up and ended up losing 58-56 to the Veritas Titans. So said they blew the game. Jacob Arope had a putback with a couple of seconds left to send it to overtime.
Yeah, so there was an ill-advised shot. Arope kind of got the putback. They kind of celebrated a little, didn't get back, except for the guy who shot the ball on Arope's putback, which was Will Cooper. So Will Cooper has presence of mind to get back, kind of sprints to the spot, tries to take a charge for the game winner. Well, not a great call, but you know what? You can't blow a double-digit lead either.
So I
terrible call.
I can't judge the call because of the camera work that I saw from Mr. Sauter, who zoomed in as the guy's already in the air. Well, he said he was trying to switch from camera to his phone, and they went quick and wasn't able to get it up. But tough call, but like you said, I know Will Cooper hit a 3 in overtime as well to kind of tie it up before they gave up the game winner. So big. Again, couple of clutch plays, but you don't need clutch plays if you maintain your lead.
Yeah,
so.
And it started, it was there was an ill-advised 3 that I was like losing my mind over, and it kind of started the deal. And in those games, and ETG's got to get better at winning close games. They don't like. I think some of those one possession games they've got to, or one score games, I think they've got to get better in crunch time. But to kind of let that one salt away could leave a mark, because you easily could have found yourself going back-to-back in terms of championships with the 17s.
No, and that's got to be a tough way to go out your last game of the spring. Now you got to kind of sit on that. You got to wait a month before you get back together and chance to get back on the court. The 16s also made the trip out there. They went 3-2.
Yeah, it's kind of a strange team now. I love their roster. They have some kinks to kind of work out.
They won their first 2 games and then lost to the Compton Magic in the final of the Battle Cup. So you had one win the title, one runner-up, and then
the Battle Zone.
Yeah. Then they won their first game by 2 and then lost the second game by 8. Just scoring-wise, it seems like Braden Frager and Bryson Ball. I thought Bryson Ball is coming on, I think. Early in the spring, I think he was trying to figure out where he fit on this team.
So here's the thing with him. Don't try to do too much. You're a good shooter.
Set him up within the flow, yeah.
Like, you're not I don't think. Now, he can work on it. He's not a guy that can go get his own deal. Like, they'll smother him, and, ball handling is something I think that he can work on. But he's a really good shooter. So take what comes to you. Like, he's going to shoot 40% from behind the arc. Yeah. Minimum, I think, right? If he gets a good look at it. Yeah. So if I'm him, I let the game come to me. I don't try to force the issue because I know I'm a good shooter.
Yep.
Right? So when he's in rhythm and getting a good look at it, you're almost surprised if he misses. Now, when it's on the deck and there's some over dribbling and stuff like that, then it's kind of like, ooh, I'm not sure about that shot selection. But when he's in the flow of what's going on, he's a knockdown guy. And I thought Frager, after kind of hitting a little lull after the high a couple weeks ago, was kind of back on point, being aggressive.
Yeah, no, there was a stretch there in one of the games where he got hot, knocked down a couple of threes, kind of got them on a run there. He double digits almost every single game there, so his name popping up a lot. So that's what they need. You need your dudes to be dudes. So that's last bit of AAU talk for a month here. It's all high school from here on out. You mentioned I was at the camp today. OSA had a college all-star camp. Had Baylor Shireman, Jason Green, Josiah Dolzer from Crane. You had Tucker DeVries from Drake, obviously OSA alumnus coming back, and then Ramel Lloyd coming down from Lincoln, the California connection with Mitch Runco there, kind of get him in there. So that was cool. And then last week too, before went down to NBA, stopped by the Hoops for Feek that Landon Pokorski.
Outside, so good. And I'm
listen, 8-foot hoops,
West Side
fans
get mad at me, but I'm Team Pokorski.
Yeah,
Team Wilcoxon, Team Pokorski. It's all good in the neighborhood.
Yeah, really cool what they do to give kids a fun time and raise money for Coach Feekin and his health battle. Shout out to the team of Alec Wilkins, Cole Peterson, Joey Veith, and Nate Roberts, who took the title in the high school division.
Good to see Joey Veith back relatively healthy after the back.
And they're going to need him to stay healthy this year, considering some of their roster changes. Yep. So,
Mr. Smolensky, come on down. Great.
So, apologize if we were inaccurate in any of our
I don't think so.
There's one that that I need to apologize for. That was some bad information I was given, but hopefully we got everybody else right and didn't place somebody.
You're going to have to clue me in because maybe I missed it as you were talking.
Coach gave me a hard time when I saw him down there, so
he's still one of the best in the business. That's my man, Jacob Padilla. We'll do our best to make sure it's very fluid in terms of what we do. And now you get sick of me seeing me in high school gyms because we'll be at the same place a lot as we get ready for high school hoops in the summer. That's Jacob Padilla. I'm Old DB. Appreciate you being a part of Nebraska Prep's postgame. We'll be back next week. As I like to say, don't you dare miss us.
A Hurrdat Sports Network production.